I've worked at a certain home improvement store for close to a decade now, about 8 years roughly. The first 7 were in NSC before I moved up further north to be with my best friend and her husband, who I learned was pregnant with my first godchild. As such, I transferred up to a store in the area and put my nose to the grindstone. I worked garden before and did that for some months before I started to be moved from department to department as this store was low on staff. However, this was not full-time. My old HR had dropped the ball and this store believed I wanted part-time. Having already moved, I grabbed a part-time overnight job at a gym to make ends meet and continued to work, all the while asking repeatedly for full-time at the main job and never getting a definitive word back or change. Several months into this, my God, daughter was born as I lived with my friends during this time, and during the time of COVID, I spent quite a lot of time helping to raise her, and we became close. I would take time off that I was allotted to help look after her, and there was little problem. Half a year into this change, and I had made a good name for myself. I did not have a good deal of friends per se, but I was respected for my work ethic and willingness to help out anyone in any department that asked me. Enter a new assistant manager. The ASM was abrasive to staff and used to get in her way. The first I heard of her was when she outright fired a girl working the front desk because of a Playboy tag on a jacket. Myself and several other employees organized a walkout in protest of this and succeeded in getting the store manager to reverse the decision made by the ASM. This was not our first walkout, having done this in the past when another ASM made sexist comments about a cashier. Soon after this, I was given full-time by the manager, working and receiving for cantankerous supervisor. We often did not get along, especially as my godchild got older and I took on babysitting duties while her parents worked and slept. It was not something I minded as I adored the child. I often talked about her with my coworkers and loved to show pictures and stories. However, this was not something shared by my higher-ups. My supervisor was upset that I could not work overtime to help him, as we were the only two in receiving for the store because of either my second job or babysitting, and soon after the second walkout, I was made aware of a rumor circulating around the store that the child was in fact my own daughter that I had fathered outside of my friend's husband's knowledge. The source of the rumor was unknown, but my ASM had made disparaging remarks to me in the past about men taking care of children, so I had my theories. My holiday plans, asked off in advance as soon as our electronic system allowed, were canceled without explanation, both Thanksgiving and Christmas. I had never missed a major holiday since I moved north, and I had asked for the same days off the year prior, and had gotten them off before the ASM arrived, strike one. And soon after this, my supervisor, who I work closely with every day, had a positive COVID test, forcing me, per company rules, to self-isolate until I could get a positive or negative test myself. During this week, as it took a full week to find a place with enough room to give tests thanks to Omicron, I was harassed repeatedly by text and phone call by both management and my supervisor to track down an home test and get back to work ASAP. All the while, I had to inform everyone I was in contact with, including my friends, family, and roommates, that I had been exposed, risking their own holiday trips and plans. Strike two. Thankfully, my test was negative. A week after this, the Northeast gets slammed by a snow and ice storm. I drove a four-wheeled vehicle and so made it in, but near the end of my shift, I was made aware that my friend's husband had been injured and stranded in a car accident on the ice, and so left to get them home, and their car to a service station. To add to it all, they have lost power in their home, with an infant, leaving me with the only person they could turn to with a vehicle and power. I will admit, I had few sick hours left, but informed work that I would be out on a family emergency. For that week, I called out each day with an ongoing family emergency, with snow and ice still coating the streets and power still down throughout our city. And every day, I was hounded by calls from management, demanding I return to work regardless. This would have not only risked my own safety, but would have stranded my family at my apartment, with no way to get supplies or get home once the power returned. Strike three. I was done. Early in the morning that following Sunday, I walked into work and placed my resignation letter on HR's desk. That is important later. I had tendered it to be immediate, as I live in an at-will state. Was it petty? Yes, I will freely admit that. I had given 8 years of my life to this company and asked very little in return. As I was leaving, I crossed paths with my supervisor, who asked angrily if I was finally coming back to work. I informed him of my decision to leave, ignoring his provocations, and left to go home and sleep. Several hours later, I received the gift that would ignite my semi-accidental revenge. A single text from my ASM. We will see how long you can take care of your love child without us. Well, seems I found my probable source. My friends had been made aware of this rumor from the start. I did not hide anything from them and did not want any kind of rumor, however unlikely, to reach them from anyone but me. They are my closest friends and compatriots, and have given me the greatest gift in the form of my godchild, whom they insist I call my niece, as I am family. Love child feels like a slur against her, and I'm not cool with that. Neither are they. However, they informed me of the monumental screw-up my now former ASM had made. It was time for corporate HR to be made aware, and though I began to compile my evidence, the texts from my supervisor, the call records and messages left, and this holy grail of a text message. If I was going to leave, I was at the very least going to give some blowback on the team that had been so willing to target me. What happened after is secondhand from friends I had still at the store, and so I cannot entirely verify all of it, but the ASEM played herself. The following day, a meeting of management and supervisors was convened, where the ASM made it known that I had been fired, not self-terminated, for job abandonment and immorality. And unless I am grossly misinformed about the nature of American retail work, immorality is not a fireable event. To my supervisor's credit, he defended me to the ASM and was fired on the spot. The store's HR rep, having earlier gotten my printed termination letter on his desk, made it known that I had indeed not been fired, but left on my own. And the ASM attempted to fire him as well in front of the staff. And from there, it spiraled. According to my source, entire departments began to walk out or outright quit, having had their own problems with the ASM. Appliances? Well, quit to a man. Garden. Left with their manager to work at a competitor's, as he had been working on this well before my saga began. Front desk. Walked out in protest as it came out that the ASM had threatened and blackmailed several Muslim part-timers to not wear their headscarves if they wanted hours. Lumber. Receiving's main partner. Quit. Pro desk. Joined the front desk protest as one of their members, a sick man, had also been threatened. Cashiers. Both head cashiers quit, and the other trained cashiers walked out with the desks. My manager had informed the district manager and quit outright before he arrived, walking out with the HR rep and my old supervisor. My source's last report of the ASM was seeing her sprinting to her car after having heard that the district staff was inbound and the store manager was forced to shut the store down for the next 2 days, last I've heard. I've been in contact with the other injured parties, and we're compiling all the evidence we've collected as several of the families are hiring lawyers. I suspect the company will attempt to keep this quiet. I just never suspected that anything like this would happen. I have a full-time position at the gym upcoming, and I've been enjoying the extra sleeping time I get with my family. I'm never working 56, 64-hour weeks ever again, and I will never darken the doorstep of that store again. I hope my ASCM enjoyed the temporary rush of power. I suspect she won't get it ever again, at least not in manager positions. Backstory. My school organized a trip to an Alzheimer's center to help us better understand the subject. To reach this center, we used the bus as it wasn't really close to the school. I don't really know what to type here because there's not much to say. Entitled Parent, E.T. Me. Teacher 1, T1. Teacher 2, not my teacher, T2. The bus was full, and some of my classmates were seated while I was standing. Beside me, there was E.T. and her 3-year-old child. We had to get off, and so did E.T. and her child. I was in front of E.T. heading to the doors to disembark. Suddenly, I heard something hitting my leg, and then I felt E.T. pushing me, screaming, E.T., let me pass, let me pass. I said quietly, May, what the heck are you doing? I sometimes think and say what I think. She turned to me and started yelling, I heard you, and kept yelling at me about the fact that she heard me. We got off the bus and now, E.T., you people, I am a Gen Z. don't have any respect towards children. You pushed my child and swore at me. I was so confused. I didn't push anyone. Me. I didn't push anyone. This is a misunderstanding. E.T. You pushed my 3-year-old child. You're so lucky I am not your mother. Otherwise, I would have hit you with my hand in your face. This alerted the 2 teachers. T1. What is happening here? E.T. He pushed my child and he insulted me. T2. What is your name? I told T2 my name. T1. Apologize to her. E.T. No, I'm going to the police and reporting you for harassment. The child is clearly embarrassed. Me. I did not harass anyone and I'm not giving you my name. I'm sorry, but you need to calm down. T1. Apologize. What did I just do? E.T. I am reporting you to the police. Give me your full name and date of birth. I did not say anything. This made E.T. even more mad, and she got tired of the fact that the teachers don't believe her. E.T. You're lucky I'm letting this pass. Otherwise, I would have smacked your face and reported you to the police. E.T. goes away with her child. After story. After E.T. leaves, my classmates tell the truth. T1 and T2 tell me that I shouldn't have pushed her child. I stop them immediately and tell them the truth. T2 goes back to her class, and T1 says he wasn't thinking of taking any action against me in this situation. At 7 p.m., I received a message that the teacher wanted to talk to my parents and that he had issued me a note. In the Italian school system, it's common to receive a note for misbehavior. I will update this after my parents talk to one and tell me what happened. My husband and I work together with my in-laws at a small restaurant. It's the only restaurant in my town people actually go to. The food is very good, so it's not uncommon for me to walk there on my off days and get a bite of something and visit my husband-in-law. The other day, I want to say Wednesday, maybe, I had my husband pick me up and take me to work to grab a bite to eat and so I wouldn't be alone. Well, I'm wearing an oversized Taco Bell hoodie and camo sweats with some Crocs. I definitely don't look like the normal uniform everyone else is wearing: red shirt, black pants, black shoes, apron. I'm sitting at a table with my husband when he gets up to leave to take food out. I'm eating my food, enjoying my time with a lemonade and some tacos. When a lady approached me, "Where is my waiter?" I'm like, "Who is your waiter?" She said, "The one with long hair, my brother-in-law." I said, "I'm not sure. What do you need him for? If it's something like I need a two. Go box, I can just grab her one so he isn't bothered, even if I am off the clock. We need our drinks." I go to find brother-in-law and he is swamped. Apparently, her party of 12 ordered 2 blended drinks each. We make our own drinks for our tables and only have 2 blenders. So he is making them. She had only ordered them 5 minutes ago. I go back to my table and keep eating. She comes up again. "Where's he?" "Making your drinks. Can you go get them?" "Ma'am, I'm off the clock. I'm not even in uniform." She then stormed off back to her table and complained about me to my husband, who helped bring them chips and salsa. Complimentary if you eat at where we work. She told him I was very unhelpful and rude. My husband was like, "Well, they aren't working, so if you wish to continue spending your time here, please stop harassing them." Honestly, I get it if I would have been in uniform, but I very clearly wasn't. Last year, my husband and I had to take our cat to the vet. She stayed overnight for surgery, and when we went to pick her up the next day, the vet's assistant at the front counter said she was listless, but okay, and wouldn't get into her carrier. So they let me go in the back to try to get her in the carrier while my husband stayed up front and paid. I got her into the carrier, brought her up front, and gave it to my husband, saying here she is, seems to be fine, just tired. So I totally understand the confusion, just not the reaction afterward. As my husband and I were trying to soothe our cat before heading out to the car, the next lady in line snapped her fingers at me and said she was there to pick up her dog and could I go in the back and get it? I said, "Sorry, I don't work here." And the assistant behind the counter had gone somewhere after finishing the transaction with my husband. The lady said, "I saw you give that man his cat. Now get my dog." Again, I said, "Sorry, but I don't work here, and that's our cat." She again snapped at me and said, "Get my dog now." My husband turned to her and said, "That's my wife, and we are picking up our cat. I'm sure someone will be up here soon to help you." The lady said, "Don't cover for her. I saw her come from the back with your cat. Are you trying to score with her? It won't work. I don't think a girl like her would go for a guy like you. Now, where is my dog?" I took this chance to give my husband a side hug, saying, "You're just my type. Want to go home with me?" Just then, as well, a worker came from the back and said she could help the lady. The lady scoffed and said, "It's nice that someone here can. Your coworker here is getting all over this person and won't get my dog." The vet assistant simply said, "Ma'am, she doesn't work here. She's just picking up her cat." Then the lady said something that would have set me off if I wasn't so concerned about getting our cat in the car and home. She hates car rides. Well, why didn't she say something then? Had I not been so busy trying to leave and preparing for the car ride ahead, I would have lit into her. The cat is fine. Just had a strange growth removed, but learned some colorful words I let out about the lady at the vet's on the ride home.